We look like we're heading to extra time, but there's still 5 minutes to play here, Mark. And by all means, there could be more chances. Still in the box, and it's another goal! And it's Andre Cole, the hero for Croydon! We thought it was over, but it's not over, and Croydon look like they're going to go all the way to the win.
We can't say that now.
Here goes Yuki Sasaki into the area. Penagaris, Chrissy Penagaris. Adelaide Comets have taken the lead.
Falcon there, but it leaves Owen Windsor. And a third for Metro Stars.
Here's Emma Ryan. She's not one of them because she's from Darwin. The shot from DeCola. Lily DeCola scores in the cup final again and wins it for West Adelaide. As the ball cuts back here to Odenwalder. And James Odenwalder scores. He makes it 2-0 for West Adelaide on the day.
I bet he was going to be Travella if he puts one in. He goes himself instead. And it's still Soy Sakani. It's unbelievable, David, as well. And that one is definitely going to be credited to him.
Will have to be chased down by Rapawano. He'll put in a cross of his own. Hobbs wasn't able to capture it. It's in! It's not the one that steals that Atletico promotion.
I got the skills to make the girls sing, and the geezers too. Yeah, we're doing this thing.
Hello, welcome to One Game at a Time, episode 21. We are recording the show on Sunday, the 12th of July, but you will be watching this live-ish around about Tuesday, the 14th, due to FK Beergrad's Cup game on Wednesday night. Very much looking forward to that one. But we thought we'd get the show done and early out of the way so that we're all here to talk about the most recent weekend of Cup finals. I am Seb O'Neill, as always, with my three very favourite co-hosts. My question for this week, out of summer, autumn, winter and spring, what is your favourite season, Mark Talbot?
It's an easy one. Winter. Prefer the cold.
Okay.
You can always warm up, but you can never cool down enough in summer.
Good logic. Alessio, for you?
I'd have to say winter as well. I like the cold weather and wearing longer stuff. So,
okay, David, are you going to make it 3 from 3?
No, I'm not. I'm going to say spring. I do like the cooler weather. I don't like the boiling hot summer weather, and I don't like the cold winter weather. So I'm going to go for spring, just when things are starting to get a little bit warmer.
Somewhat
Happy
varied
with that?
then in our answers. I'm more than happy with that. Show is going to be a bit different this week. We have no guests. We're purely going to talk about these Cup finals that were played on Saturday. Of course, there were the Junior Cup finals on Friday and Sunday. We're going to focus on the Saturday with all the Senior Cup finals, if you can call them that. But David, you did have a pick, even though we said no picks, but we thought we'd let it slide.
Yes, I noticed that when the players come out before the men's final, you know how the players come out and they'll look at the pitch and they'll all look cool in all of their gear and all of that, and they'll gather together and they'll pretend that they are chatting about the game and everything, but they're probably just chatting about what they did last night. They all get out there. Cooper Nunn, fully attired in all of his kit before the game started, but I just wanted to point out that Cooper was wearing a pair of Converse Predator boots. There's a picture of him there. That's the close in, and then the other picture I've provided has him out there. So look at that. He's got all the gear on and the Cooper Nunn Converse Predators. I just wanted to point that out. Everyone else is wearing like sneakers and that, but then somebody said, was it Jackson O'Donnell? Somebody said he's the most. No, it might have been Lorenzo. Lorenzo Baselli said he's the most Aussie guy in the team, so that's why he's dressed like that.
This was also, this might look like they were warming up, but this was at halftime of the women's game where they came out, and he looks almost in full kit as well, well already.
I like the shoes. That was good.
And I'm sure it's not the first time today we're going to pick on individual players for various things either. To start off with, the two community women's finals, the 1-2-3 and the 4-5-6. The 4-5-6 Parafield Gardens winning 3-0 over Pembroke, and the 1-2-3 Pembroke defeating FC Summit 3-2. David, we'll go to you on these ones.
Okay, well, Parafield Gardens sitting top of... So Division 4, I'm not sure if you know that it's divided into North and South at that level, and Parafield Gardens sit top of Division 4 North. Pembroke Old Scholars are actually second in the Community Division 4 South. So I guess the favourites going into this might have been Parafield Gardens, although they don't play each other through the season because they're in geographically different leagues. Manisha Rai opened the scoring for Parafield Gardens in the 2nd minute, and Kiara Atwood scored a second goal for Parafield Gardens just 2 minutes later. So within the first 5 minutes, Parafield Gardens were already 2-0 up. Kiara Atwood added a third goal in the 19th minute. So with just 20 minutes of the match gone, Parafield Gardens had scored all of the goals that would be scored in this game, and thereafter cruised to victory. The referee that day was Binda Wang, and assisted by Lincoln Herring and Kyle Roberts. So well done to Parafield Gardens. They won the Community Division 4-5-6 Cup. The Community Division 1-2-3 Cup is not geographical, so at this point they are all teams that are playing against each other in the regular league season. So Pembroke Old Scholars were playing FC Summit women. This was a repeat of the final last year, which Pembroke won, and so there was a great buzz amongst the FC Summit community that they'd maybe get some kind of revenge here. But it was heartache for them. Game was refereed by Matthew Anstey, assisted by Sean Langmaid-Taylor and Mohammed Ramadan. Let me just find my little page here. Paris Montgomery Pitaway opened the scoring for FC Summit in the 20th minute. And then Ella Sandrini equalised for Pembroke in the 27th minute. So 1-1 there. And then at just before half-time, Maddie Lipscomb, should I say, scored for FC Summit to make it 2-1 in their favour in the 34th minute. And that's what it was at half-time. Rebecca Lannon, the captain for Pembroke, scored in the 78th minute to make it 2-2. And then, alas, for FC Summit, a goal in the last minute of play, the 89th minute, Hannah Jenkin popping up to score for Pembroke. So they took the cup, the Division 1-2-3 Communities Cup, for the second year running against the same opponents, winning this game 3-2. So that's your Community Cup, Women's Cup roundup.
And you're completely neutral about that FC Summit result as well, aren't you?
Absolutely. In this capacity, I have no preference as to who wins. Congratulations to Pembroke. Well done. And yes, I have no... they're my local team, FC Summit, but I don't. Yes, I'm completely impartial. I think, look, I have some personal knowledge amongst the FC Summit group. I think they were, well, I know they were disappointed with it. But I'm sure they'll bounce back. And at the end of the day, there's always got to be a loser. So unfortunately for them, it was second year running. So Beck Allen's the coach there, and James Bremner was assisting her yesterday. And they had because I have some inside knowledge, I know they were missing a few key players. So Tina Cantwell has been playing football in the Adelaide Hills for a long, long time. She was injured and didn't even start. Holly Carroll's another key player in that team for FC Summit, who would normally start as well, but she was there but had picked up an injury. So there was a few of the reserve players had to slot in. I'll give them a mention: Elena Sava and Charlie Main, who both filled in for those two there. And to be honest, I thought FC Summit, with the lacking a little bit in terms of their regulars, actually probably played quite well. 2-1 up at one stage, but at the end of the day, Pembroke, I mean, you watched a little bit of it with me, Seb. I think Pembroke probably in that second half were probably a little bit better than FC Summit, weren't they? And ultimately, from what we saw, probably deserved the win.
Yeah, fair assessment. We'll go on next to the Under-18s Cup final, nice and early at 9:30am, one of three 9:30am games that morning. Alessio, Vipers of State League 2 defeating NPL Croydon 5-1 with Stephen Bakuru scoring a hat-trick, and we have the goals as well, which we can look at as you talk us through.
Yeah, a massive scalp there. A lot of people probably would have expected Croydon to get this through. 2 leagues below were the Vipers, but Stephen Bakuru, as he's turned out to do a lot in the Cup for the Under-18s this season, has been the hero for them. Obviously, due to his age and potentially that he was unavailable or away when the Reserves or Senior Cup was on, he was able to play this and has been playing it since the start of the season. He's been playing mostly reserves in State League 2 for Vipers this season and mostly on the bench as well for their first team. Obviously made his debut for Adelaide Croatia Raiders in the NPL last season, the last game of the season against Adelaide City. So a very talented youngster. Scored a great hat-trick in this game and it proved decisive as well. We'll talk to the Croydon goals right near the end as well. But a couple of names as well. Idris Toure the brother, or was he? Did he get a red card? Is that what it says?
He got 2 yellow cards in additional time, which got him sent off. But I tried looking back at the footage and I can't actually see when he was sent off. So I'm not too sure what happened there. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah. Talking about the Vipers side, they've got a young, good core, and the main thing is that all 3 of their teams coming down to the State League 2 are performing on all fronts. You really don't see that very often, where a club is in the State League 2 and they have youngsters coming through, a solid reserve side pushing players for the first team, and a first team doing well too, especially for these younger clubs. So it's great to see a great win for them in the Under-18s Cup. I know their reserves as well went quite far in the Cup, beat some MPL teams along the way as well. And their first team, unfortunately, didn't get very far. But yeah, great signs ahead. And for young Stephen Bakuru, hopefully a bright future ahead as well. These are some great goals, some great finishes as well. I think the slick deck helped some of his shots as well, just skidding across to the bottom corner, which is
risky doing the backflips though.
Yeah, definitely.
I think they did backflips for all 5 of the goals.
Yeah, but yeah, you could tell he's a class above. I think this is
this was an interesting one where they managed to play it quickly from a free kick with 10 minutes to go. They probably could have maybe had a foul a few seconds earlier. But then, as you see here, being given back the ball by a Croydon player, put right back down, and straight as he puts it down, boots it long on for the attack and slots it past the keeper to make it 5 and finish the game off. There were good finishes, but that was probably, for Croydon, at least one of those to forget.
Yeah, and if I'm looking at it correctly, I think Bakuru got the assist for that one too. So what a day for him. What a day for Vipers. Yeah, I mean, you would probably expect maybe a close game if the State League 2 team is getting up into the final like that. But to smash an MPL team, you can tell maybe a lot of these kids have got a bright future, but that was the under-18s.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Sam, I don't know if you can go back to the 3rd goal that Vipers scored there while you're trying to find it. I did notice there was a spectator behind the goal who lost their umbrella during the celebrations for the 3rd goal. It's quite a funny wee moment.
Is this is in the 3rd Croydon goal?
No, the 3rd goal that Vipers go. Yes, in this. So this one about to happen here. So just watch behind the goal. I know this is no good for people who are listening and not watching, but just watch behind the goal.
Oh, with the white umbrella.
Yeah, watch the white umbrella when this goal comes in.
So Vipers trying to get forward now. I'll tell you what, there were some very decent touches throughout this match as well.
Watch the brawler here, look. Hey!
That also looks like when it was almost the peak of the downfall during the day as well, I think. So the perfect time. The perfect time to lose the umbrella.
So not the only one to have umbrella issues on the day.
Yeah, we'll get to those later. The other game at 9:30, the WMPL WSL Cup Reserves Cup final contested between Adelaide Comets and Football SA. 2 sides that in the reserves competition have sort of been matching each other. They played in the grand final and that one went extra time. You'll see a few of the goals here. For Football SA, it was just a few defensive errors and a few goalkeeping errors. But I spoke to Cristiano after the coach of the reserves, and it's sort of the same point. These are girls that are learning. It is the development squad for a reason. And, you know, they're in the, and I said this and he said it, he agreed with me saying that, you know, if they're in the program, they're more than likely going to get a chance at playing in a cup final again. For Adelaide Comets, they had a lot of great players on the pitch. You know, a few players that have played first team, like Sophia Tambakis, another one who's so young, a part of Adelaide Comets, scored that first one. Anastasia Marzilli scoring twice. Sophia Kuzionis, this was Marzilli's second goal. It was a great finish, in all fairness. Football SA getting one back just late of either half through Lauren Disney and Kira O'Reilly. But again, that was while they were 4-1 down and then 4-2 down in the latter stages of the match. So Adelaide Comets, again, historically in this reserves competition have done so well. This is also because I don't know if you guys remember this, but the WMPL WSL Cup, I think from before 2023, it used to be senior and reserves teams all in the one competition. So there was a situation from memory where I think you had West Adelaide senior team were drawn against West Adelaide reserves in the Senior Women's Cup competition. So this is the only this is only a 3-year-old cup competition. Football SA have been every single final. This is the second time they faced Comets in the final. They beat Jaguars last year in the final as well. So they're regulars amongst this competition. But yeah, it was a fun game. I did it alongside Ben Dale, and it was a great way to start the day and start the morning before all the other games going on. So yeah, that was the WNPL WSL Cup Women's Reserves final, which Adelaide Comets won 4-6 goals early on in the day. Next up is the Men's Reserves Federation Cup final. Sturt Lions versus Adelaide United, 1-0 through a Casper Kuzman goal. Mark, I think I was going to you on this one.
Yeah, this was very tight. I mean, the goal that Casper Kuzman scored was a little bit, I'll say, unfortunate for the goalkeeper because agency, it was the weather was not kind at all for this whole game. I actually did tune into some of this at the start of the game, and it was a nightmare for players, for commentators, for cameramen, as Ruth there just come out, just couldn't hold on to that ball, and that's the only goal in the end for the whole game. So Sturt really did match Adelaide United side, who, when you look at it, they've got players that have been playing in the NPL, Bay Versace, you've got Kaylin Alagic all coming through, who've all had time in the NPL side. I think Irakosi has also had time. Captain Fabian Grelli's also had time. So they've got players there that have had game time in the NPL. And Sturt, again, they've had some players. Obviously, it's a different kettle of fish. I mean, they're in the youth system for a reason. And then you've got Sturt, Jack Dunstall. He's had time with the first team at Sturt. Lucas Ruth has played a couple of games now for the Sturt first team as well. So they've got some good depth coming through to play against an Adelaide United side. They've done a fantastic job in the fact that they lost 1-0. And to be honest, like I said, I think the weather played a massive part in that goal. I think I've seen Ruth play a couple of games, and I don't think on a clear day, then he's holding that all day long. So I just think it's a little bit unfortunate that that's how Sturt end up losing the game effectively. But overall, I think Sturt, fantastic effort, can hold their head up high. And like I said, they played some good football at times. Like I said, I actually did see probably about the first 40 minutes of this game, and they did play some decent football. They got the ball down. They tried to play football. And like I said, against an Adelaide United side with NPL experience, I think they've done a fantastic job. And Adelaide United, like I said, able to have players like Bay Versace playing and Alagic playing, it can really add to that side. So, both sides, I think, like I said, both sides probably handled the conditions pretty well too, to be fair, because it was not pleasant playing in those conditions. It was windy, it was raining. But when I say raining, there was times where it was an absolute downpour. And you guys were there, and you would have. It was, I think, Alessio, you were trying to walk in that. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's not easy to play in those conditions, and I think they both handled the conditions relatively well, all things considered.
I remember, I think it was around that time, sorry, David, I think Alessio arrived and I was with Simon at the canteen. And it just as I think Alessio messaged me saying that he was arriving, that's when it started bucketing during the reserves match. It was terrible. It was so bad. David?
I was just going to go quick mention to the little group of Adelaide United supporters that are behind the goal there. So those guys follow Adelaide United's A-League team, but they also go and follow their NPL side and their reserves side. So they were all up at Mount Barker when you were playing your game, Alessia. I don't know if you noticed them behind the goal. So, and I got chatting to them, and they're actually Scottish, but that's just a coincidence for me. But they say, for them, it's about supporting the club as a whole. They'll go and watch the reserves, which are effectively the reserves of the reserves, if you're considering the A-League team to be the A grade, in the old language. So, so they followed this reserve cup run like throughout, including the going up to Mount Barker. They don't live up in the hills either, so it's a trek for them. And when that rain came, they didn't move. They stood there throughout it. So I must commend them.
Yeah, absolutely. Always there on game day. Those lot, you always see them. They have a big sign as well, easily spottable at every single game. But yeah, very good to see. All right, we'll go on to the two senior cup finals, starting with the WNPL WSL Cup final. Probably, I guess, a drama, you could call it, before the game was delayed due to pitch conditions. I think originally it was delayed until 2 and then it was brought forward to 1:45. I remember me and David, we knew that it was delayed, but it was still very strange seeing players who were meant to play 5 minutes ago just walking around the stadium grabbing a Powerade with bibs on still. It was quite an odd time. But Alessio, you were on the boundary for this and also the Men's Cup final. Probably one of the best views in the house. How did you see it from your angle?
Yeah, it was very interesting. I mean, they probably got the unlucky straw of being the first team to play on it that day. And it was, the first probably 30 minutes was some not great football. I mean, most of the players are just trying to get used to the deck, get used to how quickly some of the passes were getting. I don't think either team really played the way they would like in that first half. I think for Bacala, they've just made a counter-attack work with this one. A poor spill from the keeper allowed them to go through, and they would have been happy. Their game plan was just to let West Adelaide have the ball and see out as much of the game as they can, count on the counter-attacks they could pursue. And they did well, got the lead just before half-time. Seemed like everything was going their way. And then the start of the second half, I mean, in my opinion, Matty Wright specifically just came out with so much pressure and just went hell for leather and pressed every other centre-backs.
What an assist as well, by the way.
Yeah, what a touch there from Nini Yamada. I think it was between those two to get player of the match. I think both of them had a goal and an assist to go with this game. And yeah, the whole second half was dominated by West Adelaide. I don't think Bacala had many chances in the second half. They just couldn't keep it. I was listening to their coach, Mitch Nicholson, and he was just trying to say, can we play our game? Can we keep it for a little bit? We don't have to force going long every time. Obviously, they're missing a lot of players as well, as mentioned by Paul Marcochetti. And you could tell, I think, by the time the subs came on, they didn't have as much as the West Adelaide subs who came on, who are very quick, looking to get forward every time. It was made to work for West Adelaide, but eventually they were, well-deserved winners.
Yeah, absolutely. In the end, another cup trophy for them over at Kilburn. Mark, you also saw bits and pieces from home. Muted myself for a second there. From your broadcast perspective, how did you see it?
Yeah, look, I think Alessio, from what I saw, spot on, to be honest, with the game analysis. West Adelaide did certainly, it did take them a bit, that, like I said, the conditions weren't good for football at all when the wind picked up or the rain came down. But once it sort of settled, or like if it was raining, it was okay. But when the wind came through, it made it really difficult. But I think overall, West Adelaide were the better side on the day. They certainly deserved the win. They seemed to really come out of the blocks in the second half really well. And then from a coverage point of view, it was excellent. Paul on the comms was brilliant. And then the insights of I don't know how to explain it, but one of the best players we've probably ever had in this state, international.
Alessio Carocci.
Yeah, exactly. But to have the insights of someone like a Cote on the comms as well was fantastic, and they put on a fantastic show. And then again, the insights from pitch side as well was excellent. So it was a great coverage, and like I said, I think Alessio's analysis covers everything from that point of view.
Yeah, and you mentioned about the pitch as well, just losing David for a second there, but he'll be back. We had the reserves game earlier in the morning. Then by the time the WNPL final came around, got delayed because of pitch condition. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alessio. The reason was because it was the right in front of the grandstand. It was a particular patch, sort of where they walk out from, that was particularly quite wet. But to be honest, the whole pitch when I walked out earlier on in the day was fairly bumpy, fairly patchy. I think there was a divot in front of one of the goals as well.
Yeah. I mean, I've been there a bunch of times. I don't think it gets a lot better than this, just maybe drier. And I think that over the rest of the pitch, it actually wasn't a lot of mud spots. It was probably just uneven, or it's still got the holes in it from the roller, that kind of thing. But yeah, right in front of the tunnel was a particularly bad mud patch. And you could tell anytime the ball kind of got there, the players just were slipping and sliding, couldn't really keep it in. There was a lot of times I got the touch of the ball in both games because of that. But yeah, I think both teams figured it out in the end. And the game was that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Mark.
That spot, funny enough, talking about that spot just in front of the walkout, the players race, it was in the exact same issues when we were there for the FK Bacala game in the semi, or what we call the semi-final, but the Han Australia Cup final, effectively that decider. It was the same issue there. We had a lot of rain that week as well, and it was the same issue there. It very soft. I walked out on the pitch, and it was relatively firm throughout the whole pitch. Couple of soft spots, but that spot right in front, and as to be expected, it's where it gets the most use because everyone walks out of the players race through that area. But it was the same that game as well. It was like almost a pond in that little area. So I'm not surprised. And one thing I did notice was I think a lot of the players in the women's game were wearing molds. I didn't see many studs. I do take notice of boots, and I don't remember seeing many of them wear studs. So I'm not surprised they slip and slide. Whereas in the men's, which we'll get to, I think a lot of them were boot appropriate, as I'd like to say.
Alessio.
Yeah, there was. This is one I'm a massive promoter in. Not even just medals, but for wearing artificial studs on artificial as well. But yeah, in the women's game, I don't think there was any. I asked a couple of the players. They said, "Oh, we don't have medals." And I said, "Well, if there's ever games, and a lot of these West Adelaide players specifically do play on that Service FM pitch a lot, I would expect them to have it." And then I think it was about halftime of that game, or during that second half, there was a lot of the players from both teams of the men's coming through the tunnel, going, "Oh, how's the pitch out there?" And I said, "You got medals wearing?" And a few of them said, "Oh yeah, all right, I will." And then a few of them said, "Oh no, I brought them, but I like my other boots better. I feel more comfortable." And I'm like, it's not about comfortable. It's about stable. But yeah, you don't see it too much. But yeah, I would the same amount of encouragement I'd say for medals on wet grass pitches. I would definitely say the same for artificial boots on artificial pitches.
David, final thoughts on the WNPL WSL Cup final?
Just a little bit of history for you. I did write some notes for the match programme. I don't know if anyone noticed. They did put my name in very small writing at the very end of it, rather than up at the top with a nice big portrait photo, but never mind. That's all good. I was just going to mention that, West Torrens Bacala had been in the final before, but not since 1991, so they were seeking a first cup win since then, a long time ago. And of course, for West Adelaide, that was their fifth title, and they've won 3 in a row now. And of course, in 2022 was the last time they won. They didn't win it in 23, so 2022 was the time before the last 3 in a row, if that makes sense. And 2004. Did that make sense? They've won 4 of the last 5, and they've won the last 3 in a row. There you go. And their first one came in 2014. So I wrote the history notes. I might as well mention them.
Absolutely. And Mark, you mentioned earlier about umbrella issues. Alessio got to do post-match interviews just about in the midst of all the weather conditions. It was fairly fine now, but I do want to point out, we spoke about me and Noah's handshake. You went for the microphone 3-finger handshake, which I'd never seen before. A new technique.
Yeah, it worked. I mean, she's a fairly small player. I didn't know how small her hands were, but it worked out, so I'm happy.
And say you're not the tallest, Alessio, and you towered over her.
Yeah.
But you can see how much. I think this was just after maybe it started slowing down a bit, or was there more to come? I can't remember.
I think this was after, because right after the game, me and the mobile cameraman was ready to go on, and then it went crazy, and he said, "We'll just stay here for a while." And then I tried to get some interviews and see what I could get, but I didn't try too many because I knew that they had to quickly do the presentations and then they'll do talking there. So.
No, you did a very, very good job, and still had more to come as we go on to the Men's Federation Cup final. FK Beograd 5-2 winners over Cumberland United. I'm not really sure where to start, so I think I'm just going to sort of play out the goals and the incidents and just sort of go through it like that, because I'm not sure how else we're meant to. Ellison Dunton scored the first goal. I mean, David, what a goal it was, as we see it again here.
Yeah, an outstanding strike. So I've seen Ellison Dunton play a few times this year. This was the third or maybe even the fourth time I'd covered Cumberland this season. I've done a few games in State League 1, and I did the semi-final prior to this one, of course. And look, Dunton's always been a bit of a standout for me over the first hour or so of the match. The match obviously went for 2 hours. I won't, don't want to give too much away, but it did go for 2 hours. And over that first hour, I thought he was probably he was probably the best on ground for that first hour. It changed after that, when they lost players and started conceding goals, of course. But for me, Dunton's strike there, Remington, I think, played it. I think it was at Diamond Min with a layoff to Remington. Remington's laid it back, and Alex Woodlands is probably still trying to catch that ball. There, fine strike, perfectly weighted. It was blustery out there as well, so he had that to consider too. But beautiful strike into the top corner.
Well, you remind me of when we left the game. We saw a few of the FK Beograd players, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this story, but we spoke to Alex Woodlands after the match. And he told us apparently during the week he was getting his house painted, and the painter that showed up was Ellison Dunton. and apparently they just there was a World Cup game on, they sat and watched the game. Alex knew who he was but didn't know who he was, so just a funny story. And I said, you couldn't have told this 3 days ago, we could have said it on commentary.
Yeah, I don't think. I think he thought he was familiar, but didn't recognise him, didn't he? And then someone else suggested was his father had said, "I think that's that goalkeeper. Or I think that's that player from Cumberland." So it was funny little story.
And then about 20 minutes later, FK Beograd get one back, the assist from Massimo Falco. It's a good cross and an equally as good header from Abu Hussein, really stooping down low to that bottom corner. It really, I guess, David set the tone for what we might have in store.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think through that first half, I think I said in commentary, I felt that Cumberland had controlled the midfield. I think they had the slightly upper hand in midfield, which was unusual because I think FK Beograd have got a very good midfield. That midfield, I used the word tetrahad, didn't I?
Yeah.
Let me find it. There was a word I wanted to use several times.
That was it. I think that was it.
It was a collective noun for 4 people, a group of 4 people. I've lost my notes now because I had to restart my computer earlier on. In summary, I think Cumberland did very well in midfield. They sort of kept Lorenzo Baselli quiet, Jason Constantopoulos quiet, Neon Kuru and Daniel Atkinson. They're the 4 players that I felt would normally have been enjoying the freedom of Service FM, and I think Ellison Dunton, Diamond Min, young Alex Redmond, and these players in the middle for Cumberland, I think they did a sterling job, marshalled by Dunton in containing the FK Beograd's midfield. And so when that goal was scored by Hussein in the 39th minute or whenever it came, the 34th minute when it 34th minute when it came, it was somewhat against the run of play for me.
Interesting. And then 2 minutes later was the first, I guess, even big moment. The red cards. I mean, Alessio or Mark, all of us are in this conversation, but it's a fairly simple one that Tom Brinkworth had to make there. I guess, Mark, going to you, there's no real question about it.
No, I saw this on the broadcast, and he's the issue is the defenders made Tom have to make a decision. As soon as you do that, you're in trouble. It's as simple as that. There's no two ways about it. And unfortunately, Tom had to make that decision, and I think he got it right. There's no defending cover. He's going to get.
Could you make the argument that Labasso is just coming in at the last second, or not at all? Just to seeing that one angle there.
You could do, but. At first,
obvious goal scoring chance.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I disagree with the red card. I was just purely playing devil's advocate.
No. But look, there's no way. Even I don't think Labasso is going to get there. So therefore, he's not covering. He might be just behind level, but he's not going to get there. So for me, it was again. He's put the ref in a difficult position to have to make the decision.
Yeah,
as soon as you do that, you're in trouble.
From then on, we were with 10 players for Cumberland, 1-1 at half-time, heading into the second half. And again, even with 10, David, this delivery from Diamond Min, we've seen in both of these cup games in which we've covered, just have some great moments, this kid.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Diamond Min was a real standout in that the first game I covered in this cup competition for them. He scored a free kick from there, and he had an assist for Hugo Remington in that first leg there. The semi-final, sorry. So yeah, his delivery there was sweet. He's put it right into the right spot there, right in the 60th minute or so. Labasso's credited with the goal. It's interesting. I think we said at the time that Hugo Remington probably thought he scored it and he wheeled away. I think he might have.
We're going to
wheeled away
see it
before
again here.
he actually
Has Daniel Labasso just stolen Hugo Remington's goal, or do you think it wasn't going in enough?
Yeah. But if you look at, sorry,
No.
it was probably going in.
Yeah.
It was almost certain. It was going in. Yeah.
David Nugent special, that one.
Yeah.
I think even we called it at the time because, as you said, Hugo Remington was the one running away, and then only when we saw the replay then was when we realised it was just by the smallest of. It was practically over by the time he tapped it, I think. But,
I think if you look at Hugo Remington, though, he's peeled away. He hasn't seen Labasso pop it in, so I think Remington's convinced at the time that he scored it.
Yeah. So then it was 2-1 to the side, down a man.
You did miss something in the 55th minute, and Andoni Natsiopoulos come on. That is key to the rest of the story. So before that goal goes in, Natsiopoulos has come on.
After the goal.
Yeah, so
Like
he was. I was about to go to this. So Alessio, because I remember you said it on the commentary, he was waiting to come on as that goal was scored, and Donny then came on, and I guess sort of as we look at the goal, he changed the game really, Alessio.
Yeah, I loved seeing that behind angle of the goal because I didn't remember as much as seeing the footage back, but the turn, the touch away from danger, and then the pace on the finish was just fantastic. He was right in front of me there when he was celebrating. We know how passionate he is, how much the club means to him, how long he's been out without scoring as well. And to do it on this stage in front of all of the Serbian faithful, his family, friends and everything, I think he couldn't have dreamt of a better moment to come back and to bring his team back in the game too. I was thinking about it when he came on, and I think he had that missed header before this. And I remember if he's to come on for a goal, it's got to be from outside the box, because I remember in the past when they were in the State League, he used to score some long-range goals, and I think he scored a couple over the years in the NPL, but not too many of them. And when he came on, it was for Frobert Niankuru, which we've seen so many good things about, and I thought it was a defensive sub bringing him on instead of keeping Frobert on. So they really proved that wrong, and he got him back in the game.
Yeah, probably quite a quiet midfield mark from FK Beerground on the night, really.
Well, this is the thing. Like as David was saying earlier about Cumberland's midfield being better, I think they nullified, and you're right there. They nullified that midfield of Niankuru, Lorenzo. They nullified them, but the problem was they didn't really attack with any real meaning. They sort of lacked. They controlled that midfield to a degree, and they really nullified those FK Beergrad midfielders, but they didn't then go on with it as often as they could have, if that makes sense. Like I think if you're going to control the midfield, you need to push further forward and do things like that. And yes, they still scored 2 goals, but they still just seem to lack something going forward. They like, even you guys covered it. They'd control the midfield, but then they only had Hugo up front, but they'd only have Remington up front. They could, and he was having to then battle against the likes of Kupanen and Toriani, who are going to
by himself.
They're going to outmuscle most strikers.
They also the other thing to consider. So they did just have Hugo Remington. That's why they were quiet up front. They just didn't have the potency up front, and that's why the goal they did score came from, a midfield player in Ellison Dunton. The other thing to consider is that once Warner Kulasaraya left the park, they only had 10 players. So from 36 minutes on, they only had they had less in midfield again, because they were down to. I think they kept Remington up front. They kept 4 at the back, so they must have
I think you remember me saying that. I think when he first came off, they had a 4-4-1, because I remember we literally brought up the point saying that it was good to see. I think you said this. It was good to see they didn't go for just putting 5 at the back and just parking the bus for the rest of the game. They still somewhat went for it with 10.
Yeah, they kept the 4-4-1, which was brilliant, because it just 2 banks of 4, but it did isolate Hugo Remington by himself a lot. But even in that first 30 minutes before the send-off, they sort of had almost a 4-5-1. They really pulled those midfield, the 2 higher wingers really back inside, so that they didn't get beaten in the midfield, because we know how strong the likes of Lorenzo and Niankuru are in the midfield. And when they made that change, they brought Natsiopoulos on and took Fro off. I actually think that was more of an attacking option, because Fro is a great runner. He's a box to box. He'll get up and down. But when you've already got a holding midfielder in Centofanti sitting and being that pivot, he's that wall at the back. He protects that back line so well. You can afford to go, actually, we'll throw Natsiopoulos on. And that's what he did, because I've noticed this season when he has come on, he's played higher up the park than what he's normally done in the past, because I think they've now got Centofanti who can just sit and protect that back four. So master stroke from Adrian in the end to bring him on when he did. And like I said, if you look at dribble, he's actually scored before he's even got on. So
that confused me, yeah, because he came on in the 60th and scored in the 55th. That's why I was confused
I had to
earlier
double
on.
check the broadcast to get the timings right from my own sheet here to make sure. So yeah, at this point we're at 2-2, and we're seemingly heading into extra time at this point. Until once again late on, this challenge from Peter Milodonis, a straight red card. This one maybe a bit more contentious between, I think, a lot of people speaking to there on the night. Mark, you're shaking your head. You completely disagree with agree with this?
As soon as I saw it, I rewound it and watched it a couple of times, and then I slowed it down as well. And he's not even near the ball. He's coming. He's shin high. So for me, it was ankle to shin. It was a straight. I can't complain that he's done anything wrong there, to be honest.
David, in the commentary box, you were maybe slightly of a different opinion.
In the commentary box, I said that I didn't think it was red. I thought maybe yellow, but in retrospect, and now the moment's gone, I can't change anything. But I think Mark's right. I think it is high, and I think it's probably dangerous and reckless, and it probably is deserving of a red. But at the time, you say what you think at the time, and maybe I regret that a little bit now. But I can't change it. But I can say now that I think probably it was a deserved red.
But like I said, David, I was sitting at home. I actually went back as soon as it happened. I went back to watch it, and then I slowed it down. I was lucky enough. But in saying that, even
on live, did you think it was a red card?
I thought it was close. When I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be very close." It was that for me. It was that orange. You know, the way they talk about the one. That's
I said this to David as well, and he giggled at me.
it is. When I first saw it, I was like, yes, that'll be that orange area. Like it could go either way. But as soon as it happened, I watched it back straight away, and I was like, yeah, no. And to be fair to Tom Brinkworth, I don't think he could have been in any better position to see it.
Yeah. And I just to try and finish off what I was saying before, I would also probably just like to offer a little apology to Mr. Tom Brinkworth, because I probably did suggest that it should have been yellow in my opinion at the time. In retrospect, I now think he was probably right. It probably was red, and maybe I should have kept my mouth shut. So my apologies to him.
Alessio, I guess less on the red card, but more of the reaction. You were on the sideline. Was there many complaints about it from the Cumberland side of things?
No, it was interesting enough though. When he came on, Peter Milodonis, the instruction from Phil Stubbins was just calm down. Like, let's try and keep the ball. Every time they got the ball, they kept giving it away. And there was a few opportunities before this red where he was needlessly giving it away, or just booting it in the air, or maybe he did a rush tackle elsewhere. And I could hear Phil saying every time, "Oh, Peter, just calm down. Like, just relax for a little bit." And then he got that red, and he came over to console him. But I could just probably see him just fuming, saying, "I brought him on, a defensive player, just to sit there and just block things up, and he's just gone and cost me another." Like, I don't know if that's what he's thinking, Phil, but he kept saying to his players, "Just calm. Let's try and keep it. Let's try and play. Let's try and get into areas. Let's try not rush." And then they just had a rush of blood and have a tackle like that. Like, I could tell what he was trying to do is just clip the guy, bring him down, yellow card. But he's just gone in too aggressive. He's come off, probably not happy that he's not starting, and then he's just come through the guy and just lined him up. Like, I agree. From some people, can see it's not a studs challenge, which is what probably most people would expect a straight red to be. But when you're not even going for the ball and you've gone that far up with your whole leg, it's just reckless. There's no aim for the ball. It's not a footballing action. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And still with that, we still went to extra time. Cumberland now playing half an hour with Nina. David, the one instruction I think we spoke about, at least in our minds, was they do now Cumberland. They'd been trying to attack even with 10, but this was really a period where they did need to just park the bus, hold Beergrad, and they had to take them to penalties. Was, I guess, the thought in between the period of full time and the start of extra time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the target for them at that point in time was just to get to penalties. I don't think they probably would have had any other intention. You know, I guess at the back of their minds, maybe thinking we can hit them in the counter. But no, ultimately, it's all about getting to penalties once you're down to 9 men against a team that's playing in the division above you. We're playing the league football in the division above you.
So then we started extra time. It was a giveaway somewhat in the forward line. And again, I think I said it on the commentary, you know, if you do have two players, maybe you have this goal covered, but Anthony Trimboli just timing the line to perfection, finishing, coming back from injury. Another great story of many, I guess, sort of him coming off the bench. Alessio, I'll go to you on this one. And we'll go to his other goal later, but the perfect start and the nightmare start for Cumberland.
Yeah, I wish there was more angles of that pass through to him. It's hard to see if he was on or off. He's fairly quick, and he had a great impact in the 90 when he was on. He had a couple of chances where he just got on the end of and tried to get a shot away. But yeah, from that range, that angle, there's no debate. He's had some moments in the Australia Cup. I mean, notably, he scored against Macarthur for Campbelltown in the Australia Cup proper. And yeah, he's a very impactful player. He told us in an interview later he didn't have much to contribute this season so far, so he felt like he owed Beograd something, and he turned it up in extra time there. But yeah, some fantastic finishes from him. The second one you'll see in a minute was just superb and shows the class that he is. But yeah.
Yeah, well, the next goal came 10 minutes later through Daniel Atkinson scoring again in the Cup, scored against West Torrens Berkala to put them through. You'll see it again here. Again, it's just another situation of maybe with 11 they can cover this a bit more, they can do a bit better. But this was the one, and I think even you said it, David. I said, "Is that it?" And you said blatantly, just about yes.
Yeah, I think when they were 1 goal behind, it was going to be very difficult. But when they went 2 goals behind, there 4-2 in the 100th minute, then that was it all. That was it all finished, I think. You know, FK Beograd had come into their own in the second half. I talked earlier about how I felt Elson Dunton was maybe best on ground through the first hour. The game did go for 2 hours, and through that second half, FK Beograd just grew into the game. They started to get the upper hand in that midfield. Hugo Remington just wasn't getting any supply for Cumberland. And so FK Beograd got the upper hand, and Andoni Natsiopoulos coming on. I thought in the 55th minute, according to Dribble, that's wrong, but him coming on was the change, and once it went to 4-2, that was it all over.
And then with that, we might as well go to the fifth and final goal, the second for Anthony Trimboli, just before the end of halftime of extra time. I mean, what a finish to finish the game off, a back heel from behind him to seal a brace. Again, another great contribution from the bench. And that then was most definitely game over then, Mark.
Yeah, it was game over at 4-2, to be honest. Even at 3-2 with 9 men, you're always going to struggle, but that was just the icing on the cake for FK Beograd with a classy finish at the end. There's not much more. You just let the vision show what it really meant. And I mean, you look at all the FK young ultras, we'll call them, celebrating behind the goal, but it was just a classy finish. And it just finally showed that FK Beograd probably now at the stage where they've got a couple of players coming back, they've now got some depth that they've been lacking at the start of the season, which we knew was going to be the case.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brought us to the end of this year's Men's Federation Cup final. I guess just sort of a general word on the night. It was great fun. David, I think I can't remember how many said it. Mark, you have to tell us if we were professional enough on the commentary, because I don't recall much of it. It was a lot of giggling purely at I'll go to you, David. I don't know if you felt the same. It was a lot of just disbelief at the game that we were seeing, and just sort of, what on earth was going on?
Yeah, I mean, there were elements of it that were quite surreal, really, in terms of the fact that we were watching a side coming up from the tier below and really looking like an undaunted, unafraid team or group of individuals who just worked so well together. I think Phil Stubbins has just got an excellent little group of players there, and they played very well together. They just didn't look like a side that's, let's be honest, struggling in State League One. Yeah.
Seventh in State League One.
Yeah, so struggling in State League One. They just didn't look like a side in that sort of situation. They came out and played with great maturity, great collectiveness, and I think Ellison Dunton, for me, as I mentioned before, was probably the best on ground for them. I did wonder how they would play this game. I did think, about the issues of a synthetic pitch that they're used to. I've lost my notes here. I think I'd written down that 80% of Cumberland's games across this season have been played or will be played on a synthetic pitch, and there they were on a big, massive grass pitch, which was I even did the measurements, and I don't have it in front of me. I think I'd measured AA Bailey Reserve as being 63 or 64 metres
Sounds
across.
about right.
Yeah, and it also feels like a small ground because of all the housing that's around it, So you come from that compact little ground, and then you're playing in the expanse that is Service FM. And after the semi-final, a couple of players I'd spoken to, and they'd said, it did feel really big. And so I had my doubts as to how this was going to go for them. But I thought the longer they can hold on and keep it at 0-0. If they can get to half-time at 0-0 and even be level midway through the second half, I think they've got a chance of winning this game. But, Dunton's goal early on just changed the whole complexion of the game, and it really set the tone for what was a very exciting afternoon of football.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, did we stay professional, do you think?
Oh, yeah. Now, look, the coverage, I'm not going to talk about the game because you guys will cover the rest of it. But overall, the coverage was excellent. I thought it was done very well, very professional, produced really well. Chris did a great job producing. The cameraman did a great job in that weather.
Yeah,
had the wind,
absolutely.
The downpour. I tell you what, they were fantastic to be able to still keep an eye on that ball and still keep those cameras rolling. It was outstanding. You guys in the box did very well. Alessio, excellent on the sidelines. I know you had a fight with the umbrella, but overall, it was very well done, very professional, come across really well. And it's just great to be able to say that in SA, to be honest, I think we're probably the leading line in commentary when it comes to those big games over the likes of Vic and New South Wales.
Wow, big statement from Mark. Yeah, just on the behind the scenes from the at least the broadcast perspective. We spoke to Chris, our producer, after. I think one of the cameras had died during the men's game, and there was a period as well where every time that he had to switch cameras, one would be filming and the other would be wiping the lens, and then they do vice versa each time because it was getting that wet.
Well, he did very well to cover that, because I noticed there was a couple of times in the women's game where I could see them they go like this, wiping the camera, and I was like, oh, okay. But in the men's, it was very limited. So that he obviously, Chris did some great work timing wise to be able to make that work. So, like I said, brilliant production in the end, considering like I said, the efforts that the cameraman had to go through.
No, absolutely.
Yes. Well done, Chris Reekman. We'll give him his surname as well, Chris Reekman, because he does listen to this every so often. Yeah. So well done.
And one of our camera
you're on.
operators too.
Camera 2, you wipe. Right, camera 2, you're on. Camera 1, you wipe.
Alessio, I guess for yourself on the day, you got to do a big double shift on the sidelines again. One of the coolest spots, I think, to be on a game day, especially for 2 cup finals like that. How did you find it? You've done it a few times before, but how was it for those 2 games in particular?
Yeah, well, this is actually the first final I've done it for. I've done it, league games, cup semi-finals, etc. But it's one of my favourite roles to do, especially on a grand final or a cup final day. I really like to be there, listen to the emotions, see the full-time whistle, and talk to the players afterwards. And I thought both games were very good. I don't think I've actually been live to watch a women's cup final before, a cup final. And for the men's, only the second final I've been involved with in the top tier. So I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. And it wasn't actually too cold, to be honest. I rugged up before. I had the thermal top and pants and gloves. And I didn't get too dirty either. I had black shoes. So
No, you did a very good job. Very good interviews after. I went back and watched them as well, especially for the women's game, which me and David didn't get to see too much, especially that second half while we were preparing for our games. And you did a very good job. So congratulations to both Beograd in the senior men's and West Adelaide in the senior women's cup final.
And all the winners.
And all of the winners across the weekend. There's plenty of games that have gone on Sunday for the juniors, Friday. Far too many to mention.
The only one I wanted to mention was the South Adelaide under-15 girls. They actually won their game as well. So there is a bit of a bright spot for South Adelaide at the moment in their current predicament.
Had to get that one in there. By the time we come back for our show next week, we will have found out the fates of the two men's South Australian sides, the two state league sides, or so you can call them, Beergrad and Cumberland in their Australia Cup games. Just sort of a quick word, FK Beergrad first. As this episode goes live, it'll be tomorrow night on Wednesday at Frank Mitchell Park against North Sunshine Eagles of the VPL 1 over in Victoria, 7:30 kickoff. Probably in terms of the two fixtures, probably the easier one out of the two, North Sunshine Eagles, the lower division side from Victoria, and Beergrad, I'm sure, pumping after a big cup win. Alessio, your quick thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I'll try and get down there on Wednesday. I think they've got a massive chance against North Sunshine Eagles. They're lower table in Victoria. I believe they're second tier. I'm pretty sure
Yes,
they're
I think
VPL 1. Yeah. So they are quite low in there. Obviously, they're Albanian, which is a lot of the clubs, a lot of the players from Beergrad are saying is a bit of rivalry. They'll bring a lot down. The pitch quality, not sure how it's held up after this weekend. Lucky no games were played on it. Hopefully it's in great condition and they've fenced off the dogs as well. But I think they've got a massive chance, more chance than most games we've had here. And I'll be very surprised. Again, we said the pressure was on them in that cup final. I think the pressure will be on them in this game too. They're playing a lowly ranked VPL 1 team at home on their home pitch with a fully fit squad. And they're doing well in the league. I think the pressure's on them, but I think they'll do well and get the win.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark and David, anything else to say on that Beergrad North Sunshine game?
No, I think, but no, for me anyway. I think Alessio's captured it. Everything I would probably have said. Yeah.
Yeah, but very much looking forward to that one. And then the night before, we'll be back for the week after our episode. Cumberland against Heidelberg United at AA Bailey Reserve. I think I've said it a few times. It's probably the next hardest fixture behind getting an A-League side, I think. The Australia Cup finalists. David, Phil Stubbins, of course, a bit of a legend at Heidelberg as well, played and coached there, so plenty of storylines as well in Cumberland. You know, really, if they do similar without, going down a player as they did against Beergrad, they might be in with a bit of a chance with the way they've played.
I wouldn't, having seen Cumberland twice in the last two cup games, I wouldn't write them off. I wouldn't write anything off. I mean, I think Heidelberg will be a leap too far, or a mountain too high, or a ocean too wide, or whatever the phrase is.
Or a valley too low. Which way do you want to go?
Valley too low, yeah.
Ain't a river wide enough.
or a podcast too long. I think it will be. I think it will be tough for them. But football's a funny game, and having seen what Cumberland could produce the other night, I wouldn't write them off entirely, and I would be surprised if Heidelberg are writing them off entirely as well. Heidelberg would have watched that cup final game last night, and they would have watched the semi-final game as well. I'm sure they're paying attention, but I think it'll be difficult for Cumberland. But you know what? It looks like a squad that if Phil Stubbins can keep together for a while and maybe enhance, here and there, I think it has the potential to do quite well in the next maybe 2 years.
A quick general. I don't know if anybody knows about this. Do red cards carry over from state to national rounds? Do we know about that?
Well, because it's a Federation Cup final, I don't think it will, because it's not officially part of the Hahn Cup.
So you're saying if they got sent off in the semi-final, it might have?
Yeah, I reckon, because that's still the Hahn Cup.
Yeah.
Whereas this game is the Federation Cup. So I don't know. I wonder if it just carries over into the league, and so they'll miss the next league game.
I thought it carries over into the start of the cup next year.
I don't know. But I don't think it's going to affect their Hahn Cup.
Yeah. It might. That's a good point, Alessio. It might carry on into our local Federation Cup next year.
Pretty sure.
So if they make it to the final next year, does that mean they'd miss the final? Because obviously it's the Hahn Cup until the final. So I wonder. But then if they don't make the final for another couple of years, they might have to face it in the final in 3 years' time.
The Cumberland Heidelberg game Tuesday, 21st of July, 7:30. Alessio?
I was just going to say on Heidelberg, we expect them to be a great team, a barnstorming team. They're actually not doing great this year. They're, I think, 6th in Victorian NPL, and they have only won 1 in their last 6 games. They've actually been dropping a lot of points recently, lost a lot of players, the player of the year in the Australian Championship, Bull Juach, left them after the season and has just come back and signed for South Melbourne. So they're not doing the best at the moment. And I think it's probably more of a chance than ever for Cumberland. Obviously, they're a tough team to beat, and they did that all last season. But this season, they're a completely different beast, and I don't think they're one of the top teams in NPL Victoria at the moment. So I think they've got a little bit of a chance here, Cumberland.
Absolutely. Do make sure to get down to both of those games if you can. If not, I think they're both streamed by the 10 or Paramount Plus, either or. But do make sure to watch and support the SA sides, even regardless of who you support. We're neutral here, but when it comes to these cup games, we're all in. We're all Beergrad and Cumberland fans, I think, for these two matches. So definitely get down and watch those ones. Next, David, an update on our World Cup tipping as well, if you want. We had the end of the quarterfinals as we were recording this morning. We're into the semi-finals, first of which, again, by the time this episode goes live, will be tomorrow morning, France versus Spain, and then England, Argentina on Thursday. And the final will also be by the time the next time
Yes.
we are doing the show.
The finals on next weekend, so.
Yeah. So an update on the table, if you can, David.
There is no change, actually, other than you slipping yourself into third spot and me dropping myself down to fourth spot. Desmond Kai still top, Dilap Dance still second. And then there's yourself in third, myself in fourth, and then Troy NFFC. Chris Reekman soaring up the table, the producer last night, into 6 spots, a special mention for him. North London is red, also having a stellar quarter-final round. And that's you, Mark, and you're in 8th spot. Alessio lost interest after the first day. What I would just highlight is that a couple of us took a little bit of a gamble because, if you just pick the favourites now, there's only a handful of games left. You pick the favourites now, you're not going to move up the table. So myself, JT Drogba, Moodstar, and Pee Wee's mum, remember them from a few weeks ago? They had a good start. Anyway, we took a little bit of a gamble on Norway beating England this morning. It didn't pay off, so we only ended up with 3 right out of this round of 4. But what I'd forgotten was if you get all 4 right, if you get all the round right, you get an extra point. So maybe I should just have stuck with picking all the favourites this week, because those who didn't just get 4 right, they got a bonus point, so they got 5. So it's put a little bit of distance between those who picked Norway over England this morning. So Desmond Kai leading, Dilap Dan second, and Seb O'Neill third. That's your top 3.
Absolutely, and I wouldn't even say the semi-finals would be that easy to predict either, to be honest. So I think there still is plenty more change in that table. I think both of those could go either way. So very much.
Just remember as well that when you're putting it in for the semi-finals, you get you get a bonus point for the round if you get all of them right. So that's not really possible when they're in the group stage. But once you get to semi-finals and there's only 2 games, there is a chance you can get 3 points if you get both games right. So bear that in mind.
Going for gold. That's what I'm doing. All right, we'll go on to our predictions for this upcoming weekend. Alessio, I don't know if you do have an update on the table, but I can't imagine much would have changed anyway. He's muted.
The table would be the same as last week, though, wouldn't it? It wouldn't.
I think a couple of us got 1 point, and some of us got 2 because some of us. I think
all of us back Beergrad. Yeah.
I got them wrong because, remember, I stuck to principles and went Cumberland, but you wouldn't let me go back to West Adelaide because of principles. So I got both of them wrong.
Yeah, I think I think David might have had Bacala Women's to win as well.
He did.
But I don't think anyone had the correct score, even if the games didn't go the length that we expected.
Yes, Nicole Blackett was straight on to me before the game. Haven't you got a game to focus on or some warm-ups to do or something, young lady?
Enough, I messaged her as soon as the final whistle went. I messaged her to congratulate her. So just trying to get back in her good books.
All right, we'll go into predictions for the upcoming weekend, starting with Northern Demons versus Pontian Eagles in State League 2. North Pontian Eagles just coming off a loss as well, and Northern Demons started the season in decent form, but themselves having just fallen down ever so slightly. With that being said, I'm going to go for a 3-1 Pontian win.
I'll go 3-1 Pontian.
4-1 Pontian.
2-1 Pontian.
4-1 for Alessio and 2-1 for Mark. Next up in the south, Nordlunga United versus Western Strikers. 2 sides very close to each other in the table. I'm going to go for a Nordlunga 2-0 win at home.
I'm going to go for a Western Strikers 2-1 win.
I'm going to go
I'm with
Strikers 4-2.
I'm going with David. Strikers 2-1.
Definitely the odd one out there for me then. In the WSL, Adelaide Jaguars versus Western Strikers. Again, two sides in the middle-ish of the table, very tight to each other on points. Western Strikers, I think, with a game or two to be made up as well. At West Beach, I'm going to go for an Adelaide Jaguars win 3-1.
I'll go Strikers 3-2.
I'll go Strikers 3-1.
Jags 2-1.
Bit of variation. Thankfully, I'm not the odd one out again. State League 1, Atletico versus Olympic near the top of the table. Huge, again, for these two at Adelaide Atletico. I'm going to back them and say they win 2-1.
This one's a bit harder to pick.
I'll go 2-2 draw.
I'll go draw as well. I'll go 1-1.
This is Atletico and Olympic, you said?
Yes.
I'll go Atletico 3-1.
WNPL, West Torrens Burkalla versus Salisbury Inter, trying to fight for that second spot at Jack Smith Park. I'm going to go for a Salisbury Inter 3-2 win.
I'm going for a 2-2 draw.
I'm going 2-1 Bacala.
That's what I was going to do, Alessio. I'm going to stick with you as well. 2-1 Bacala.
And finally, Campbelltown City versus Adelaide Comets. Again, Comets still trying to battle their way out of the relegation zone.
Are you on this game, Seb?
I don't even. It's
No.
Sunday. We don't even know yet.
I was going to say I'm going 0-0.
I've got no clue what game I'm on this week, so let's not go any 0-0s. Let's be nice to everybody equally.
No, Seb, no.
I hope it's not my game.
I'm going 0-0 as well.
Yeah, very funny. Alessio?
I'll go 2-0 Campbelltown.
Yeah. Shows who my real friends are in this, clearly. I'm gonna go for Comets to win 1-0. And also a reminder as well, one of the games this weekend, FK Beograd Adelaide United, I think it was originally going to be played on Saturday afternoon, but it's been moved to a Sunday.
Afternoon.
And I think it's only been done fairly recently because I feel like I checked that a few weeks ago and it was a Saturday afternoon. So there is a Sunday afternoon fixture as well, if that's your thing. That's us done. Just over an hour. Nice and simple. Anything else before we finish off for another week? David, you're over on holiday. Enjoy that.
Yeah, so I won't be around next week. I'll see you the week after, fellas.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, anything else to finish?
Yeah, just check our socials. Seb, you need to post that and we're good.
Alessio, anything from you to finish off?
Just keep coming out to the games. There's a great cup final. Hopefully more of you can come out to the games throughout the league season. And yeah, not long left now, so make sure you're there.
Absolutely. Do make sure to turn up for Beograd and Cumberland. Beograd this Wednesday, tomorrow night, as of this episode going live, 7:30 p.m. Cumberland United versus Heidelberg, Tuesday the 21st, next week at 7:30 p.m. And we'll be back next Wednesday as well for the show. But until then, hope you enjoyed the Cup final. Hope you enjoyed our coverage. And we'll see you all next week.
See you then.
And we look like we're heading to extra time, but there's still 5 minutes to play here, Mark. And by all means, there could be more chances. Still in the box, and it's another goal! And it's Andre Cole, the hero for Croydon! We thought it was over, but it's not over, and Croydon look like they're going to go all the way to the win!
We can't say that now. Here goes Yuki Sasaki into the area. Penagaris, Chrissy Penagaris! Adelaide Comets have taken the lead.
Falcon there, but it leaves Owen Windsor! And a third for Metro Stars.
Here's Emma Ryan. She's not one of them because she's from Darwin. The shot from DeCola! Lily DeCola scores in the cup final again and wins it for West Adelaide.
As the ball cuts back here to Odenwalder. And James Odenwalder scores. He makes it 2-0 for West Adelaide on the day.
I bet he was going to be Trivella if he puts one in. He goes himself instead. And it's still Soy Sakani. It's unbelievable, David, as well. And that one is definitely going to be credited to him.
Will have to be chased down by Rapuano. He'll put in a cross of his own. Hobbs wasn't able to capture it. It's in! It's not the one that seals out the Atletico promotion.
I got the skills to make the girls sing and the geezers.